here with Ed and Ginger, who've been living beyond their means for years, both emotionally and financially. They know they have to make some drastic changes, but they don't know what or how. More recently, they went through the process of filing bankruptcy. Not something that's fun to talk about, but take a look.
Putting money in the college fund for the kids, where, is it okay to take a vacation? I think we have a hard time justifying anything extra.
You're trying to raise kids and you're trying to give them the best schooling, the best education, live in a nice neighborhood with nice friends, nice neighbors, and you work as hard as you can to get all these things. The problem is you can't enjoy them because you're working too hard to keep the things. What am I going to do? It seems like it's a vicious beast. Finances is always a vicious beast that you just can't get away from.
Not fun, but both of you grew up in hectic lifestyles as well, right?
Yeah.
And you learn what you live.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you see that being mirrored. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think that you guys, like so many people in America, have absolutely been suckered by the marketing machine.
Yeah.
You have been suckered into a lifestyle that doesn't make any sense, overextends you emotionally, financially, and all because you've been programmed by the marketing machine that this is what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to have, what your kids are supposed to do and have. And how many of you relate to what they're saying? If you've been in that same chaos, raise your hand. Raise it real high. So I said, all right, that's just about everybody. Close. Well over half. Now, what I want to talk to you about is what I call re-engineering your life. That's living by design. And the hardest thing to do is to admit that what you're doing is not working and that you're willing to change it. You've got to be absolutely willing to change it. And as Stephen Covey says, you got to begin with the end in mind. So I want you to tell me what it is you really want. At the other end of this re-engineering, what do you want?
I want a 40-hour work week,
right.
8 to 5, have evenings off, and have time to vacation, and have money in the bank, and not have any worries.
That would be success for you. What do you want?
A lot of the same as her, most of the same as her, but also, for my kids not to have to go through what I'm doing. I mean, I learned from my family, and I don't want them learning from me. I want them to have an easier life.
Because you're modeling it for them, right?
Absolutely.
Both of you. And you look at them, they're stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, the little girl crying all of the time, and I don't say cry all the time, but there is tension there and resistance. Do you agree with what I'm getting ready to say? You don't solve money problems with money.
Absolutely.
Do y'all get that? You don't solve money problems with money. Because I guarantee you, I could come in and pay all of your bills off, do everything exactly, get it down to zero where you are, flush even. I'd come back in 6 months. If you didn't change your lifestyle, you would be right back in the same position you're in right now. All right, so you got to be willing to change something. And you gave me a new definition for success, but you've also got to be willing in a re-engineering plan is to start making choices based on reality instead of guilt.
Okay.
Do you make choices based on guilt?
Yes.
Power of language is really important. You've got to change your language in all of this. Because both of you has used a lot of dramatic words. You said, we have to do this. We can't do that. I ask you, what can you not give up? You look me right in the eye and says, we can't give up our lizard.
Well, that's because it's Dakota's. I feel guilty asking him to give that up.
Why do you need a lizard?
I don't want the lizard. Dakota wants the lizard.
But who's running this deal, Dakota or you?
We are.
I can't go out. I cannot find my bearded dragon. What do you need with a lizard?
I don't need the lizard.
How far is it to go get 20 crickets? You go get 20, it's 20 crickets a day?
Yeah, the lizard eats 20 crickets a day, so we have to go once a week and buy 100 crickets and put them in the garage, feed them, give them vitamins so she's fed. Then we have to hand water the dragon. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work that you. We'll come back to that. All right. This lizard is on my hit list. All right. If you're going to do things based on reality instead of guilt, whatever we're doing, if you're saying, I named my goal, I want to be financially stable, I want to calm down, you have to be willing to challenge everything. How much money are you spending a month on cars? I'll answer that. It's $889.54. $889.54. One of them gets $300 a month in gas, the other one $100 a month in gas, so you must not drive yours that much.
Right.
So that's $400. So you're spending $1,200 plus a month on cars. You know what? You can't afford that. You cannot afford that. You say, we got to spend money to make money. I got to have a car. You do need wheels to work because you got to deliver your product and that sort of thing. You people can't afford $289 worth of cars a month. That's before you add tires and brakes and all of that. You got to be willing to do something that cuts that down directly. You're spending $150 a month on cable. On cable, you can't pay your bills and you're spending $159. You can get that on network. You don't need cable to get me. This is the only quality on television. Besides Oprah. You can get Oprah and me on network. You don't need cable. All right, so you don't need that. You've got 3 cats and 2 dogs. Is that right? One dog and 2
Cat.
3 cats and 2 dogs.
2 cats, 3 dogs.
2 cats, 3 dogs, and a lizard.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know that each pet averages $560 a year? $560 a year in vet bills, food. $560 times 5, that's $2,500 plus a year that you're talking about. $2,500 a year, you're spending $1,800 a year on cable. Add that up, we're now approaching $4,000, and you've got 5 credit cards with an average balance of $500 a piece on them, correct? All right. You can't afford that. That means you spent money you didn't have when you charged that up for $500. Now, Mom, tell me the kids have to have clothes.
The kids have to have clothes.
Yeah, that's your thought, right?
Yeah.
And you'd feel guilty if you didn't.
Right.
And you buy them brand names, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Like Tommy Hilfiger.
Yes.
And all of that sort of thing. Okay? You can buy the same stuff without the logos on them for half the price. But you're going and buying brand name clothes with money you don't have for kids who don't need them. Now add all of that up and you're spending $500 a month paying on those credit cards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now approaching $5,000 a year. And you say, well, that's just $5,000 a year. Divide it out. What difference would it make if you were putting $400 or $500 a month in savings right now?
A big difference.
Be a lot of difference.
It'd make a big difference,
Yes.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because by the end of the year, you'd have $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, which would quadruple what you have in savings right now. If you combine your 401k and your savings account, you would be doubling, tripling, quadrupling what you have if you were willing to challenge and get rid of that stuff. So why don't you?
Well, we will now.
You don't
We
think...
didn't know
Good
how.
So well, I want to talk about this some more. All right. Cheerleading, football, date nights with children, We'll look at how overscheduling adds to financial strain and can hurt your family when we come back. Ask the hard questions. All right, Ed and Ginger have been living beyond their means since they were married 14 years ago. It's deeply entrenched. They're hoping to get their overscheduled and overspending lifestyle under control so their children don't adopt the same patterns. I cannot believe that I've convinced you of all of that. So, tell me what you disagree with.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. And we don't pay attention when you just said the numbers at the end of the year, how much the cats cost and the dogs. I don't think we think about that long term.
And of course, everybody's probably at home, give the children's dogs away? Well, you know what? This is the attitude that I was talking about. If you're going to deal with reality instead of guilt, then you cannot afford $560 per pet per year and have 5 pets. You can't do that. And when I watch that tape, you got cats howling, dogs barking, phones ringing. My stomach hurt watching the tape. So that goes into the emotional side of this. So the idea is, are you going to deal, what is your priority? Is your priority to get this under control or continue to feed this guilt monster? What do you think about what I'm saying?
I think like you're saying, it's getting control of this monster. Because living in the guilt, I mean, it's just, we can't do it anymore.
Well, let me tell you what you've said here, and I wrote these things down, and you said first, you pay $100 for A on a report card.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, unless he's a knucklehead, this could cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he looked to me like a very bright young man. So you probably are stacking some A's up. That's ridiculous. And in addition, it demotivates the child. That's the conversation for another day. You buy the brand name clothes. You have 6 televisions in your house, 4 VCRs, 2 DVD players, 4 computers. You don't need all of that stuff. In addition to being a financial disaster, what about the stress that you have during the day of all of these TVs going, dogs barking, cats howling? That adds to the emotional side as well, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're going, and I noticed your daughter, she doesn't want to be a cheerleader.
No, she doesn't.
Did you notice that she had her heels dug in and you're dragging her to cheerleading school? Were you a cheerleader?
No,
Do you wish you had been?
no.
Well, why are you making her do
Well,
it?
she asked me to in the beginning, and then she bailed out.
You've got to be willing to give some things up. Challenge everything in your life. What's up with your 6-year-old daughter sleeping in your bed?
She won't sleep in her room. She's
Yes,
scared.
she will. She's sleeping in your bed. Daughter, we got to lose the daughter from the bed. Lose the daughter from the bed, please. Thank you. The daughter is gone. Now, that's how easy that is. You just call the control room, and she's gone. Right? But it's harder at home, right? And you feel guilty because she's upset. She wants to be in your room. She likes to be with mom, right?
She says she's scared.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Calls us.
Do you suppose that she would get over that?
I think she will. I think she'll outgrow it.
Yeah. When?
Well, sooner now.
You need it now, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice when you went into your bedroom and shut the door that was quiet time for the two of you?
That'd be great.
Maybe not always quiet, but it was time for the two of you. Okay? Because you got to decide to put yourself number one on the list at times, where you set these children down and say, do not come to that door unless one of you is on fire. Okay? And if she keeps coming down there, it will be very difficult the first time. You may stay up all night long, but that girl needs to sleep in her bedroom. Friday nights, you take your son on your date.
Well, it hasn't become, I mean, we go to a movie, that's our date. It's good. We're going so fast, and it's just, we got to get up early in the morning for doing things and work-wise. It's not,
And football.
football, we don't spend a lot of quality time with him, we think, but after reading your son's book, I found out that watching a movie is not quality time.
No, it's not quality. You can watch a movie with a stranger. You don't talk during the movie, do you?
No.
No.
So what is that? We're going to go be alone together? That's not quality time. You don't want to do that anyway. You need to, I mean, look at this. You're at a date, and your son said, lose the son from the date, please. Okay? Now he's gone. All right? But the number one thing I want you to do is you've got to give yourself permission.
Okay.
And change your language. You're saying, I have to do this. I have to do that. We have to have a lizard. How ridiculous does that sound when you hear it back from an adult?
It's ridiculous.
We have to have a bearded dragon eating 20 crickets a day in our house? Am I missing something here?
You have to talk to Dakota.
You need to, no, you have to talk to Dakota. You have to have a family meeting when you get home and sit down and say, kids, we're calming down. We're stripping our life down. We're eliminating a lot of moving parts in this life. And if they're upset for a few days, trust me, they'll get over it. And don't be afraid of telling them that you've got to make some financial adjustments for a period of time to be solid. Don't you know the truth when you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you hearing the truth?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
And don't you know they'll hear the truth when you tell them?
Yes.
They'll hear the truth, and I'll promise you, you don't know poor. when I was in the 7th grade, when I was Dakota's age, and I did get a ride to school, the first thing I had to do was cut a piece of cardboard to put over the hole in the floorboard of the car so the mud wouldn't get up on my clothes before I went to school. Now that's not, and you know what? I think I turned out pretty well. I don't seem particularly scarred by it. Get the guilt out. Get the guilt out of your mind. Change your language and have a meeting. And we're going to talk about this more as we go along. All right, we're going to meet a mom who feels her daily schedule is nearly causing an emotional breakdown. Now, you know what we're talking about here, so you're going to listen to what we continue to talk about. We'll be right back. Okay, newlyweds Aaron and Julie are in a he said, she said battle. He says, we need to pay your debts off now. She says, no way, I need to get my hair and nails done. Okay. How long y'all been married?
About a month.
Did you think about discussing this before you got married?
We discussed it. Sort of.
Maybe not enough.
Okay, we discussed this sort of. What does sort of mean?
Well, her philosophy is she works hard and she makes money and she has the right to spend that money. And my philosophy is...
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I do. I want to talk about this a little bit, because I want to tell you that everybody, I believe in balance. I really do. I think you got to have some balance in your life. It can't be all work and no comfort. And you expect that, right? I mean, you don't think you need to live in a tent till you get the money paid off.
Not anymore.
Okay, not anymore? So you were in a tent. All right. But now, the first question is, can you afford it? Because let me tell you, if your outgo exceeds your income, you got a problem.
Right, but I think, okay, I'll just get another job
Okay?
to pay for my hair, nails, or the things that I think are...
Okay, and then soon, I'm not talking to you, I'm now talking to you. Because these guys are you with some more jobs.
Kids and pets.
Okay, do you see what I'm saying? Isn't that exactly right? Didn't you spend the money? You spent the money on the things that you didn't have to have. You could justify it, but you couldn't afford it. But you did it anyway out of guilt. Okay? And so you're saying, okay, I'll just get another job. And then pretty soon, you got another job. And then, like you say, you had a couple of dogs, throw in a cat or two. I know where you can get a cheap lizard. If you want to make a deal on a lizard, it was a used lizard, but it's a good lizard. All right? So, I mean, pretty soon you get into a hectic lifestyle. Are you willing to trade peace of mind to have your nails done?
I am, but I still think that I can afford to have my nails done. It's only so much money every couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You can afford that, but we're just not getting anywhere with the credit cards.
Well,
They're
it's
just
not,
there.
and it's not any one thing that brings you down. Do y'all get that? It's not any one thing. It's $15 here, $20 there, $30 here. Charge this, charge that, do this, do that, and pretty soon in the aggregate, that's a lot of money. Deprivation is not necessarily a bad thing if you say, all right, for a period of time, we're going to make a plan. So you got to decide what you want. You either want your nails done and bankrupt, or you want to be financially responsible by asking yourself the hard questions. And yes, I know that getting your nails done won't make you bankrupt. But if you add it to everything else that comes from that philosophy, you're in the ditch in a short period of time. True?
Yes, sir.
True?
Yes.
All right, we'll be right back. When we first checked in with Ed and Ginger after their episode aired years ago, they told us that just reducing their spending and eating at home added up to $9,000 a year in savings. Well, we recently caught up with Ed and Ginger again this year. They say they've now been happily married for 31 years, and their son Dakota and daughter Julie are now ages 30 and 23, if you can believe that.
They told us that because of my advice, they're no longer stressed out about money and continue to live within their means. Ed said they still have dogs and cats. Sadly, the lizard, well, their lizard passed away. I'm glad to hear that they were able to keep up the positive changes and their family is doing well. I wish Ed and Ginger and their kids, and all of my guests, of course, the best. I'm so glad that these simple solutions that we gave were able to make life-changing differences for the better. That's often the case. Small differences add up across time to big results. Thanks for watching this Dr. Phil Classic. For more information about today's episode, log on to drphil.com. And don't forget to check in with me on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.